The alien fleet descended like a shadow over Earth, its massive ships cutting through the atmosphere with the elegance and precision of a species that had mastered the stars. They were a race of conquerors, capable of reducing entire civilizations to ashes with a single word. The lead ship, a vast metal behemoth, floated silently above the planet, its sensors scanning the surface with an almost casual indifference. Their leader, Commander Ilyar, observed the blue planet below with a cold, calculating gaze. To him, it was no different from countless others they had subjugated. Primitive, weak, ripe for the taking. "I told you, Captain," Ilyar said, his voice filled with condescension. "This world will fall easily. Look at their technology. Nothing more than child's play compared to ours." His subordinate, Captain Varric, nodded dutifully. "Their communications are outdated, and their defenses are laughable. We've already neutralized their satellites. It won't take long to claim their resources and enslave their population." The fleet, an armada of warships and cargo vessels, hovered just outside Earth's atmosphere. From their vantage point, Earth seemed like a beautiful yet fragile world. The cities were sprawling, yes, but they were small compared to the alien superstructures on distant planets. The alien forces had observed Earth for months before arriving, studying humanity's primitive weapons, their flawed infrastructure, and their uncoordinated global alliances. They had no concept of the power hidden within the planet, no knowledge of the defenses that had been quietly prepared for this very day. Below, humanity was completely unaware of the impending invasion. Governments scrambled to maintain their regular functions, unaware that an alien armada was on its way to their doorstep. Children played in the streets, families sat down for dinner, and workers continued their daily routines. Earth was calm, until it wasn't. Ilyar's fleet activated its cloaking technology, allowing them to pass unseen by Earth's rudimentary detection systems. The commander was confident that the invasion would be seamless, that Earth's leaders would surrender within hours of contact. He had underestimated humanity in a way he couldn't yet comprehend. "Initiate first contact," Ilyar ordered coldly. He had no doubt that humanity's leaders would cower before the might of his fleet. Varric motioned to the communications officer, who activated the transmission. The alien fleet's message was simple: "You are under our control. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." The words echoed across Earth's airwaves, broadcasting to every corner of the planet. It was a declaration of dominance, a statement that no one would dare challenge. But as the transmission reverberated through Earth's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. Humans didn't cower. They didn't respond with fear. Instead, they fell silent. The aliens watched, perplexed. There were no frantic responses, no panicked cries for help. Earth's response was far more chilling than any resistance could have been. The message had been received, but there was no immediate reaction. Commander Ilyar frowned, sensing something off. He knew the humans were primitive, but they had never been this quiet before. It was almost as if they were preparing. "Captain," Ilyar said slowly, his eyes narrowing, "this isn't right. Keep the fleet on standby. Something's happening." Unbeknownst to the alien commanders, Earth's leaders had been aware of the possibility of extraterrestrial contact for decades. Hidden away in secret military bunkers, in underground research facilities, and within classified intelligence agencies, humanity had quietly prepared for this moment. The systems in place weren't designed to counter a full-scale invasion. They were designed for something far more subtle, an unexpected, silent war. Humanity's first line of defense wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a ship or a bomb. It was silence. The world's power grid flickered. Communications across the globe went black. Major cities, once buzzing with the noise of technology, fell silent. Airports halted flights. Subways shut down. Streetlights dimmed. The vast network of satellites and defense systems Earth relied on for everyday life slowly powered down, one by one, without explanation. The alien fleet, still cloaked and hovering high above the Earth, felt the impact of that silence. Their sensors began to register anomalies, power surges, energy disruptions, and the faintest trace of interference. It was as if someone had flicked a switch, plunging the entire planet into darkness without warning. Ilyr's frown deepened. What is this? Why can't we get a clear reading? What is Earth hiding? As the fleet waited for some kind of response, their earlier certainty started to fray. The humans weren't responding with panic as expected. Instead, they were quiet. Too quiet. But what the aliens didn't know, what they couldn't possibly comprehend, was that this silence wasn't an act of surrender. It was the beginning of humanity's counterattack. And it was only just starting. The alien fleet loomed over Earth, now shrouded in a strange, unsettling silence. Ilyr's eyes scanned the planet's surface as his fleet hovered just above the atmosphere, waiting for Earth's leaders to react. But there was no immediate action from humanity. The stillness was unnerving. Where the aliens expected panic, confusion, or even desperate pleas, there was only quiet. Their scanners revealed no significant military buildup or signs of organized defense. It was as though the planet had simply shut down. We're not getting any signals. It's as if Earth's systems are offline, the communications officer reported with growing concern. All of Earth's major networks are down. We can't even get a lock on their communication frequencies. Ilyr's frown deepened. This was not what they had planned. Earth's defenses were supposed to be laughable, easily swept aside by their superior technology. Instead, the planet's electrical infrastructure appeared to have collapsed almost overnight, and the alien fleet was unable to get a read on what was happening below. "Prepare for landing," Ilyar ordered, trying to regain control of the situation. "We'll need to proceed with a more direct approach." On the surface, humanity remained eerily calm in the face of the alien presence. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the extraterrestrial threat looming just beyond the atmosphere. Governments scrambled in their bunkers, trying to restore communication. But the truth was, the silence had already been planned. Earth's most brilliant minds had anticipated such an event long ago. The global power grid and communication systems were designed not just to serve the needs of everyday life, but also to be cut off in case of emergency. An invisible, secret network, buried deep within Earth's infrastructure, activated with chilling precision. Deep beneath the cities, within classified military bases and scientific research facilities, humans were executing a preordained plan, one they had kept hidden from the world for decades. This was no ordinary power failure. It was a strategic blackout, triggered as a direct countermeasure to the alien presence. The global defense system had been in place for years, a secret program developed by Earth's brightest minds, specifically designed to prevent Earth from being vulnerable in the event of an alien invasion. As the aliens attempted to recalibrate their systems, they began to realize that their initial assumption, that they were dealing with a primitive, defenseless species, was dangerously wrong. Earth wasn't reacting with fear. It wasn't scrambling to fight back in the way they had expected. Instead, it was carefully, silently preparing for something far more complicated than just a direct confrontation. "It's the humans," Captain Varick said, his voice filled with disbelief. "They've done something. They've triggered something beneath the surface." Ilyar snapped his fingers, directing a more detailed scan. The results were baffling. The once easily readable patterns of Earth's energy consumption had vanished. In their place, complex, cryptic signals began to emerge. Patterns too intricate to ignore. The energy disruptions weren't random. They were designed. The alien fleet was now flying blind, unable to track Earth's movements or anticipate their next moves. Ilyar paced back and forth, his mind racing. "They're stalling us. We've underestimated them." Suddenly, the communications officer spoke again. "Commander, we've intercepted a signal. It's coming from Earth, but it's not like anything we've seen before." The transmission was quiet at first, a faint hum that slowly solidified into words. Earth had, at last, responded. "We know you're here, and we know you're not here for peace, but we won't go down without a fight." The voice was calm, confident. It was a human voice, speaking through an encrypted channel that had somehow pierced the aliens' communications grid. Ilyr's heart skipped a beat. The message was simple, but it wasn't a message of surrender. It was a message of defiance. "Send a reply," Ilyr commanded, his voice tinged with frustration. "Tell them we'll give them a choice. Surrender or face the consequences. Let's see how they react." But inside, he wasn't as sure as he wanted to be. The silence of Earth was not one of fear, and that meant that humanity was not as helpless as he had thought. The true scale of the fight was only beginning to reveal itself. Back on Earth, as the alien presence loomed above, humanity braced for what was to come. They weren't backing down. They weren't scared. And the aliens would soon learn that underestimating humanity was a mistake they would pay dearly for. The silence of Earth persisted, but it was no longer the ominous stillness of surrender. It was the calm before a storm. Humanity, despite the alien threat, had already begun to act, and in ways the invaders could not fathom. The aliens had expected humanity to collapse, to crumble under the pressure of their overwhelming might. But Earth's leaders, hidden away in their underground bunkers and secret facilities, were not so easily intimidated. They had been preparing for this moment for decades, quietly assembling defenses and technologies that were far beyond the scope of the alien invaders' understanding. While the alien fleet floated above the planet, still struggling to re-establish their communications and data streams, the first signs of Earth's resistance began to surface. Around the globe, scattered military bases and civilian facilities flickered back to life. Systems long dormant surged into action, their complexity now evident to both human and alien eyes. The networks of defense satellites, buried deep within Earth's infrastructure, activated with eerie precision. In the command center of Earth's unified military council, General Erica James stared at the holographic map, her mind working at full capacity. "They've been trying to scramble our power grid, but they're too late. Our systems are already up and running." On her command, human engineers initiated EMP pulses that were built to disrupt electronic systems. But these weren't just any EMPs. They were highly specialized, honed, and tested in secret laboratories. The pulse waves created by the humans bypassed the usual channels the aliens depended on, disrupting only the most sensitive alien tech and leaving Earth's own systems untouched. Meanwhile, the Global Communications Network, a robust system designed to withstand cyberattacks, began transmitting encrypted signals from deep within Earth's defenses. The alien scanners couldn't decipher them, their technology too primitive to crack the human-made encryption. In those encrypted messages, humanity made its first formal declaration. "We are not weak. You have misjudged us." In orbit, Ilyr's command ship trembled as another surge of interference disrupted his ship's power. He bellowed orders to his crew to scan the anomalies, but nothing made sense. The patterns of Earth's energy grid were changing too quickly to track. They had hoped to use their superior technology to manipulate Earth's defenses, but now, the very systems they had thought would be easily hacked were showing signs of resistance. "Captain," the communications officer said urgently, "the power grid is resetting. It's as though they have a backup system we never detected." Ilyr clenched his fists. How could they have hidden this from us? They were supposed to be primitives, scattered and divided. How are they so coordinated? As the alien fleet struggled, the human resistance intensified. Earth's major cities, once dimmed in the wake of the power failures, were now coming back to life in ways the aliens couldn't predict. The once feeble communications were now thriving in the shadows of their attempts to suppress them. From a hidden network of military bunkers, governments across the world began to receive real-time data on the alien ships, their strengths and their weaknesses. Governments, previously caught off guard, were now mobilizing their forces, communicating across borders in ways the invaders had thought impossible. This is beyond what we anticipated," Varric said, his voice filled with awe. He had been the most confident of the alien commanders, but even he could see now that they were not facing a helpless species. The very technology they had dismissed as inferior had been designed for one purpose: to protect humanity from the very situation they now found themselves in. Back on Earth, scientists working in secret labs in the Arctic and the deserts of Africa, in the heart of military bunkers and aboard specialized vessels, were putting the final touches on their countermeasures. They weren't just making weapons, they were reverse engineering alien technology, taking the invaders' own creations and turning them into tools of humanity's survival. For the first time, the invaders began to feel uncertainty. They hadn't expected the humans to fight back in this way, using wit and adaptation rather than sheer force. And as the days stretched on, it became clear that this was a fight not just for survival, but for the future of Earth. The invaders had thought Earth would crumble beneath their might. They were wrong. And now, humanity had shown them that their true weapon wasn't technology alone. It was the unyielding spirit and ingenuity that could turn the tide of any war, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. The battle had only just begun, but Earth was already showing signs of resilience that no one, not even the aliens, had expected. Humanity had taken its first step in proving that it was not a primitive species to be easily wiped out. As the alien fleet struggled to regain control of the situation, human ingenuity began to shine through, creating a ripple of uncertainty among the invaders. One of the most significant moments came when a small group of human engineers, working in a highly secure underground facility, managed to successfully take down an alien ship. Using technology they had reverse engineered from a damaged alien craft, they developed an EMP pulse that could target specific alien ship systems. They had learned how to exploit a weakness in the alien fleet's reliance on complex, interlinked systems that Earth's technicians could now bypass and disrupt. It was a victory no one had predicted. The alien warship, once a symbol of unmatched power, now lay disabled, its systems fried by the precise EMP burst. The human engineers, alongside military units, quickly moved in to secure the wreckage. A small fleet of rescue crafts, equipped with the latest human-made technology, descended upon the fallen ship, collecting valuable alien data and fragments of advanced materials. They hadn't just won a small battle, they had acquired an alien ship's worth of knowledge. The news of this first victory rippled through the planet. Governments, once frantic and disorganized, now began to coordinate. Humans were no longer afraid of the alien invaders. They were emboldened. The media, once silent, began broadcasting stories of the bravery and ingenuity of those who had fought back. Across the world, people began to take to the streets, not in fear, but in solidarity. They were united, not just in their survival, but in their defiance. Commander Ilyar sat in the dark command room of his flagship, staring at the screens that displayed the wreckage of the ship his fleet had lost. The room was thick with tension. His officers whispered among themselves, their faces drawn with concern. They had seen the first signs of trouble when Earth's systems had gone dark, but this was beyond anything they had anticipated. How did they manage this? Ilyar growled, his voice full of disbelief. They're using our own technology against us. It's impossible, Varric muttered. Their technology. It's too basic. We've swept their planet for years, and they've never shown the slightest sign of such capabilities. Ilyar slammed his fist onto the table, his anger rising. It doesn't matter how. What matters is that we've lost a warship. We can't afford to lose any more. The alien fleet, which had once been poised to crush Earth in a matter of hours, now found itself in disarray. The loss of the warship sent a ripple through their ranks. Earth's resistance was more than just a nuisance. It was now a significant threat. The message was clear. Earth would not be conquered easily. On the surface of the planet, humanity was gearing up for more. The military was using the captured alien technology to build new weapons, laser systems, more advanced EMP devices, and adaptive armor that were soon deployed across Earth's defense lines. The captured alien ship provided humanity with a critical edge, one that would change the course of the battle. The first human victory, though small in comparison to what lay ahead, was a momentous one. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, were now facing a species they could no longer dismiss. The fight for Earth was no longer about whether humanity would fall, but whether the aliens could regroup and overcome the ingenuity of a species they had wrongly deemed inferior. In the wake of the battle, Earth's message was clear. You may have underestimated us, but we are not helpless. We will fight, and we will win. As the alien fleet reeled from their first defeat, humanity stood ready. The tide was turning, and for the first time since the invasion began, Earth's defenders began to believe that victory was within reach. The shockwaves of humanity's first victory spread quickly across the globe, and the aliens were no longer certain of their victory. The loss of one of their flagship warships had rattled their confidence. What was once a flawless plan to subjugate Earth now seemed flawed and uncertain. Ilir and his fleet were no longer operating with the same confidence they had when they first arrived. The humans were resourceful, and their ingenuity was now their greatest weapon. They had not only disabled one of the alien ships, but they had also begun to adapt the technology to their own advantage. The downed vessel had given them a glimpse into the aliens' advanced systems, and humanity wasted no time in exploiting these weaknesses. The military quickly formed a task force to combat the alien fleet directly, using their newly adapted weaponry. The human-made ships, once small and weak in comparison to the alien behemoths, were now outfitted with alien tech, making them more than a match for the invaders. The human pilots, trained for decades in various forms of combat, were now ready to engage in a war that was far different from anything they had anticipated. The first major confrontation in Earth's atmosphere came just days after the alien warship had been brought down. The alien fleet had repositioned its forces, ready to strike back at humanity with overwhelming force. But the humans were no longer retreating. Earth's defense systems, combined with the alien technology now in human hands, formed an impenetrable shield. The air was alive with the hum of new weaponry and the roar of fighter jets. On the front lines, Captain Anna Walker, one of Earth's most skilled pilots, led the first wave of human forces. Her squadron of fighter jets, armed with alien plasma cannons and shields derived from the wrecked ships, took to the skies with a fearlessness that had once been unimaginable. They were facing down the full force of the alien fleet, an armada far superior in numbers and firepower. Yet, for the first time in the conflict, the balance was shifting. Targeting the lead ship, Captain Walker ordered through the comms. Her voice was calm, but the weight of the moment was evident in her words. She had trained for this, but no amount of preparation had truly prepared her for the reality of combat against an extraterrestrial force. The first shots rang out, and the skies above Earth erupted into chaos. Alien ships, once untouchable and invulnerable, were now being attacked with precision. The human pilots, though outnumbered, were faster, more agile, and now armed with technology that allowed them to strike with devastating effect. They had studied the downed alien ship systems and learned how to hack into the same communication network the invaders had relied upon. The result was an unprecedented level of coordination among the human forces. Ilir, watching from his flagship, had been hoping for a decisive victory to regain control. Instead, he was witnessing a spectacle he could not have predicted. The human ships, once easy prey, were now a formidable force. His own fleet, though technologically advanced, struggled to counter the relentless waves of human jets attacking from every direction. "What is this? How are they doing this?" Ilir demanded, his face contorted in anger. "They should be no match for us." Varric, who had been watching the battle unfold on a nearby screen, could only shake his head. "They've adapted. They've learned from our technology faster than we could have imagined. Their fighters are stronger, faster, and their tactics are unpredictable." The aliens tried to retaliate with full force, launching waves of plasma fire and deploying fighter ships of their own. But the humans had anticipated this move. Using advanced defense systems, they weaved through the barrage. their jets darting in and out of enemy fire with unparalleled speed. The alien fleet, initially so confident, was now facing a fight unlike any they had experienced before. As Captain Walker led her squadron into the heart of the alien fleet, she could feel the pulse of the battle in her veins. She was no longer just fighting for survival. She was fighting for Earth, for the future of humanity. Her heart raced as she locked onto the lead alien ship, targeting its weak points. With a decisive pull of the trigger, a volley of plasma shots hit the alien ship, causing it to stagger mid-flight. The alien ship's shields flickered, but they were no match for the combined firepower of humanity's newfound weaponry. The ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris scattering through the atmosphere. The human forces roared in victory as the first alien ship fell, but they knew this was just the beginning. The skies above Earth were filled with debris, and the battle raged on. The alien fleet, now on the defensive, began to retreat, but the humans didn't relent. They had tasted victory, and they would not stop until Earth was free. Ilyr's voice crackled over the comms, his tone grim. "Prepare to fall back. We are not prepared for this kind of resistance." For the first time, the invaders were the ones retreating. Earth had won the first battle in the skies, but the war was far from over. Humanity had proven that it could fight, and it would continue to do so, no matter the cost. The first major victory in Earth's skies sent ripples of disbelief through the alien fleet. The once feared invaders had never imagined a world so small, so seemingly primitive, could challenge their overwhelming power. Now, after weeks of overwhelming tension, they were forced to acknowledge the truth. They were not dealing with an easy conquest. They were facing an enemy capable of not only adapting to their technology, but also using it against them. Back on Earth, the human victory was met with jubilation, but it was short-lived. The war was far from over, and the aliens, though retreating for now, had not given up. They were regrouping, analyzing their losses, and adapting their tactics. Earth's defenses, bolstered by captured alien technology, had proven effective, but the invaders were still formidable. The fight was about to escalate. General Erica James stood in a secure command room beneath the mountains, watching as the military's strategic map flickered with new intelligence. She had just received the latest reports from the front lines. The alien fleet wasn't retreating in defeat. They were regrouping, preparing for something far more destructive. Earth's victory had not gone unnoticed. "We've hit them where it hurts," General James said, her voice steady as she addressed her team of military advisors. "But they'll come back stronger. They won't make the same mistake again." One of the analysts, Lieutenant Cohen, tapped at his tablet and brought up a series of projections. "We've been monitoring their fleet's movements. Based on the patterns, it looks like they're preparing for a counteroffensive. They'll target our major military bases and the heart of our communications networks." A quiet murmur spread through the room as the implications sank in. The aliens weren't just trying to win. They were attempting to crush humanity's will to fight. They would strike at Earth's heart, using their superior firepower to shatter human resolve. But General James wasn't ready to concede. "Let them come," she said, her voice hardening. "We've seen what they can do, and we've learned how to counter it. Now we'll do the same." The next few days were filled with rapid preparation. Earth's military forces, buoyed by the technology gained from the downed alien ship, scrambled to reinforce their defenses. New laser grids were set up to protect key installations, and fleets of human warships, now equipped with alien technology, moved into position. In orbit, Ilyar observed Earth's renewed preparations with a mixture of admiration and frustration. His fleet was massive, but the human resistance had begun to adapt at an alarming rate. The prospect of Earth's destruction had seemed inevitable just days ago, but now, the reality of a drawn-out war was setting in. "Commander, the humans have fortified their positions," Varric said, staring at the latest intelligence. "We've underestimated their resolve. This will not be an easy victory." Ilyar's gaze darkened as he thought about their next move. "We can't keep playing this game of cat and mouse. We'll need to strike with everything we have. The alien fleet began to reposition itself, preparing for the counteroffensive. But this time, their plan was more deliberate. They would use overwhelming firepower to breach Earth's defenses and then proceed to crush any remaining resistance. They would not stop until humanity had been broken, until Earth was theirs. On Earth, the global military forces stood at the ready, poised to defend their home. They were no longer on the defensive. The momentum had shifted, and humanity was determined to hold their ground. They had won the first battles in the skies, and now they had a taste of victory. The fight was no longer just about survival. It was about reclaiming their world, their future. The countdown to the next battle began, and the stakes were higher than ever. Earth's military forces, led by their finest generals and officers, braced for the full force of the alien fleet. They knew the enemy was powerful, but they had learned how to fight back. They had learned that the true strength of humanity lay not in their technology alone, but in their unwavering will to survive, to fight, and to protect what was theirs. The war for Earth had entered a new phase, and this time, humanity was ready to turn the tide. The days following the alien retreat were tense, filled with preparation and anticipation. Both sides knew that the next battle would determine the course of the war. The alien fleet, though bruised, was far from broken. They had regrouped, reinforced, and were preparing for a final, overwhelming push to crush humanity's resistance. But humanity, fueled by the adrenaline of their victories and their unyielding spirit, was determined to hold its ground. General Erica James stood at the helm of the command center, her eyes fixed on the holographic map before her. The alien fleet was closing in, the blips on the map growing larger and more threatening by the minute. The time for small skirmishes was over. It was now or never. "We've gained ground," General James said, her voice resolute. "But the real fight is about to begin. We need to take this opportunity to cripple their fleet before they can mount their final assault. Every ship, every asset we have, needs to be deployed. We cannot afford to hold back." Her team moved with precision. Each soldier, each officer, each commander understood what was at stake. This was humanity's last stand. The aliens had underestimated them before, but now the stakes were clear. Earth had something the invaders could not comprehend: an unbreakable will to survive. The human fleet, now more unified and powerful with the alien technology they had salvaged, moved into position. Their new weaponry, including plasma cannons, shields, and adaptive armor, was their greatest advantage. The human forces had learned not only to defend but to strike back with ferocity and ingenuity. Their strategy was simple: hit the enemy where it hurt the most, and do it quickly. In orbit, the alien commanders were preparing for a full assault. Illyar's flagship loomed ominously above the planet. The calm before the storm was palpable. Varric, standing by his side, watched the human fleet gather, their ships looking like a unified force. Despite their technological advantages, the aliens had not accounted for the resolve of Earth's forces. "I don't care how much they've learned from our ships," Illyar muttered, his gaze hardened. "We have the firepower. We have the numbers. Today, we finish this." Varric nodded, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. The human resistance had proven far more adaptable than anticipated. "We need to take out their command centers first. If we cripple their leadership, the rest will fall in line." Illyar's eyes narrowed as he activated the fleet-wide communications, prepared to launch the first wave. "We'll hit them hard. No more games." The alien forces descended from the heavens, a massive armada descending on Earth with a deafening roar. They unleashed a barrage of plasma fire that streaked across the sky like deadly bolts of lightning. The attack came swiftly, and Earth's defenses braced for impact. The first wave was overwhelming, with the alien ships focusing their firepower on key military bases and defense structures. But humanity was prepared. The first salvo of alien fire was met with human resilience. Plasma shields flared to life, absorbing the brunt of the attack. Anti-aircraft batteries fired back with relentless precision, targeting the alien ships and causing some to stagger. The human fleet, now fully integrated with alien technology, retaliated in force. Captain Anna Walker, leading her squadron of fighters, was the first to engage. She locked onto her targets with lethal focus, knowing that every shot counted. The sky above Earth was a battlefield of explosions and gunfire, as human and alien forces collided in a violent display of power. Targeting their command ships, Captain Walker said, her voice steady as her fingers danced across the controls. "We need to take out their leadership. That's our key to victory." Her squadron of human fighters dove toward the lead alien ships, evading plasma fire with acrobatic skill. They aimed for weak points in the alien ship's armor, exploiting every vulnerability they had learned about from the wrecked ship. The battle raged on, but Earth's forces were no longer fighting defensively. They were taking the fight to the aliens, pushing them back with every attack. Ilior watched from his command center, fury burning in his chest as his fleet began to suffer. "Fall back," he commanded, his voice sharp. "Redirect all power to the remaining ships. We cannot let them destroy our command." But it was too late. The human fighters had found their mark. A well-placed strike caused a critical failure in one of the aliens' flagship ships. A massive explosion rippled through the alien fleet, sending debris flying through the chaos. "Keep pushing. We can still win this," Ilior shouted, but his orders were growing less effective as his fleet began to crumble. On the ground, the rest of humanity watched in awe as the skies above were filled with flashes of light, each representing another victory. The battle for Earth was being fought in the heavens, but it was also a battle for humanity's future, a battle they were determined to win. As the alien forces faltered, humanity's resolve grew stronger. With every passing second, the tides of war shifted, and Earth was closer than ever to reclaiming its freedom. The final push had begun, and this time, humanity wasn't backing down. The final battle raged across the skies, the once unstoppable alien fleet now struggling to maintain its position above Earth. The tide had irrevocably turned. Humanity, united by the weight of survival and driven by an unwavering will to protect their home, had delivered blow after blow, each one weakening the invaders' resolve. Alien ships that once seemed indestructible were now falling one by one, crippled by the humans' new weaponry and tactics. On the ground, the world watched in suspense, every person aware that the fate of their civilization hung in the balance. The air was thick with anticipation as people gathered around screens, phones, and radios, waiting for any sign that Earth was winning. News outlets were broadcasting the battle live, with images of explosions in space, human warships darting through the void, and alien ships burning in the atmosphere. Captain Anna Walker and her squadron, still deep in the heart of the alien fleet, had made their move. With the alien command ships in disarray, they focused their efforts on destroying the remaining strategic targets. Walker's voice was calm but urgent as she communicated with her squadron. "Stay focused. We're almost there. Take out their last strongholds. This is it." Her words echoed through the comms as fighter jets darted in and out of the chaos, locking onto targets with unerring accuracy. One by one, the remaining alien ships that had once dominated the skies were falling, their technology no longer enough to save them from the coordinated fury of humanity's fleet. In the command center, General Erica James watched in silent awe as the last remnants of the alien fleet began to break apart. Their massive ships, once so intimidating, now seemed fragile in the face of human ingenuity. Earth's defenses, bolstered by the alien technology they had reverse-engineered, were far more powerful than anyone could have predicted. "This is it," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We're winning." But even as the victory loomed, there was no room for complacency. Ilior, still commanding his remaining forces from the flagship, had one last card to play. He knew the battle was slipping from his grasp, but he was not about to go down without a fight. "All remaining ships, form up." Ilior's command echoed across the alien fleet. "We have one final option. Initiate the self-destruct sequence. Destroy their world if we cannot conquer it. The order was chilling. Ilyr's desperation was palpable, but there was no time left for hesitation. The remaining alien ships, damaged and struggling, began to make their final stand, preparing to unleash a deadly countermeasure that would wipe out everything in their path. The self-destruct sequence, an ultimate weapon of mass destruction, was humanity's last obstacle. As the alien ships powered up their self-destruct devices, Captain Walker's voice rang out once again, determination in her words. We can't let them destroy everything we'd fought for. We have to stop them. With a surge of urgency, Walker and her squadron closed in on the alien flagship, their weapons charged, and the human pilots executed a series of precise maneuvers to break through the alien ship's defenses. Each shot was a calculated strike, designed to disable the core systems that could trigger the self-destruct sequence. One by one, the alien ships began to go dark. The countdowns that had once signaled certain annihilation slowly stopped. It was clear the humans had succeeded. With a final, precise shot, Captain Walker and her squadron disabled the last alien flagship, cutting off the remaining self-destruct capabilities. The alien threat was finally over. A collective cheer echoed from Earth's forces, both on the ground and in space. The skies, once filled with death and destruction, were now silent. The battle was won, and humanity had survived. Back on Earth, people flooded the streets in celebration. The victory was not just a military triumph. It was a victory for humanity's spirit, its resilience, and its ability to overcome even the most insurmountable odds. The world had come together, not just to survive, but to thrive in the face of an existential threat. General James, standing in the command center, allowed herself a moment of quiet relief. The war was over. Earth had won. Humanity had proven to the universe that they were far from primitive, far from helpless. They had stood against an overwhelming force and emerged victorious. As the celebrations continued across the globe, there was a sense of unity, of shared purpose. Earth had faced its darkest hour and come out stronger. The war was over, but the work ahead was just beginning. Rebuilding, recovering, and moving forward as a united species, one that would never again be underestimated. For humanity, the dawn of a new era had begun.